Hello everyone, welcome back to Bytes of CAC. So this is going to be a tutorial on string, and I have already covered list, and there are some portions, especially the indexing and slicing parts, which will be common for both strings and lists. But fear not if you haven't gone through that. I will be leaving the link in the description box, and I will be repeating every thing that I have done for list, and I don't presume that you already know list and you already know these things. So this is going to be an extensive lecture because Python provides you with so many functions for manipulating string or handling string, and the best part is that you don't have to import any library for doing it. So let's get started. Let me assume that you are not using any string variable in your program, but you even then might have to come across a string variable, and that is if you take an user input. As you know, in case of Python, we don't declare the data type when we are defining or declaring a variable. We leave it to Python to automatically like automatically to get the data type. So in this case, let me declare a data type var, which is expecting an input from the user, and we expect the user to enter a number. And now let me check what is this data type of this variable, and that is done using the Python function type. So if I say type var, it's going to show me what is the data type of, say, 121, and this shows that this is a string variable. So when Python accepts an user input, it by default stores it into a variable which it treats like a string. So in order to work with this number 121, you will have to change it to integer, and that is done using the function int. So int and var, and now let me just store that in another variable var2, because we are more interested in knowing the data type of this variable. And now if I check what is this variable of what is this type of the variable var2, it's going to show me that this is an integer. Now when you are declaring a string variable, whenever you enter your value within quotes, Python will consider this as a string. Now this quote can be a single quote or a double quote. Now when you are trying to access a particular character in a string, you will have to use indexing, as in the case of other languages. So indexing in Python starts from 0. So if I say what is the character at string 0, the first character of this string, it will return the first character, which is t. Now the interesting part of indexing in Python is Python supports both positive and negative indexing. So this positive indexing scans elements from left to right, whereas negative indexing, it scans the element from right to left. Now this has an advantage. Why? Because say you are trying to access the last element of your string and you don't know the length of your string. So in that case, if I go the traditional way, I will try to find out the length of the string, and that is done using a len function. When I put this will give me the, now x contains the length of the string, and now since the indexing starts from 0, in order to access the last element of your string, you will have to your index number will be this length of the string minus 1. Now you have gone through many of these kind of for loops, remember you had to stop the for loop before the last or the length of the string, right? So now this is going that gives me the last position. Now it works, but the thing is that you have to move this extra step, like you have to find out the length of this string. So this entails that you have to call this function len, and from there you have to do the manipulation. So Python provides you a more efficient way of doing that, and that is using a negative indexing. So if I now try to find or try to access the element at the position -1, it will also give me G. So the positive indexing in Python, it starts from 0 to length of the string -1, and the negative indexing starts from -1 to minus length of your string. So now if I try to find out what is at this position, now this x was your length of the string, this is going to return T, that is the element at the first position. Now, apart from extracting particular characters using indexing, Python also supports slicing. Slicing means you can extract substrings or part of the strings from the entire string. Say for example, okay, now moving on to that, let me tell you what the actual, what shall I say, what is the generic formula for that. So this is your string variable, say, and now say you have written something like b. Now this b is a integer, and then you put a colon and you write another integer, say e. So this is basically going to extract string from index b to index e -1. And of course you need to remember, if you're using b and e like this, so your b needs to be less than e. So let me just try it out. In this case, string, let me extract from 3 to say 8. So now this is supposed to extract the string from from 3 to 8 -1, that is 7. Now this was your string, this is a string. Let me get back to the string. Now this the positive indexing, as I said, starts from 0. So this is 0, 1, 2 and 3. So the part of the string starting from S to this 3, 4, that is this gap, 5, 6 and 7. So up to the second gap, okay, second gap. So let me just, okay, see. So this was your first gap and this is your second gap, as I had shown you. And there is also another thing which you need to remember is, actually this slicing part looks like the entire thing actually looks like, after this e there is to be a colon and say there is another integer s. Now this s means how many characters to the right. Now by default this value of s is 1. So it extracts a string from b to e -1 and this is considered as 1. So it does not skip character. Now this is actually the step or the number of characters which it was supposed to skip or supposed to move forward to. So now if I take the same thing, string 3 to 8, and now if I ask it to skip one character which is given as 1 or every alternate character, see, so this S was selected this gap was skipped, then this is selected, this is skipped, the second S is skipped, and now this gap is also selected. So this one is selected in this manner. And an interesting thing to end is, oh no, I have a few more things to let you know. If I write something like this, say I leave this as nothing, I just leave it as a gap, I put a semicolon, and now I write it as, now I write 8. So this actually means that if I leave it as a gap, which means, this means that select everything from beginning and to 7. So now this is, see, this was supposed to be up till the second gap, right? That was index number 7. So now this entire thing from the left, actually the entire thing has been selected from the beginning. And now if I write something like this, I state the B index and I leave E as nothing, I just don't write anything in this place. This would mean that select everything, select from 3 to or till the last. So now see, it starts from the third index, which is this S, and it selects the entire string. And now if I do something like this, I don't mention the first index and I don't mention the last index. So this would mean that select everything from beginning. If I leave this B as nothing, and now if I leave E as nothing, it would mean that select everything till the end. So this means select everything from the beginning to the end, like this. And the last thing which I would show you is, this is an interesting thing. If I do something like this, I select everything from beginning till the end, and now when I am writing, now here I will need to mention the step variable, and now in this step variable I mention this as -1, and now see, the string is selected in reverse. So this is a string. So if I read it this way, so it actually, say if you consider that as your, say if this was a circular array, in case of positive stride, the character to the right will be selected. So scanning starts from left to right. But in case of a -1 stride, this will start selecting the character to the right, left of the string. So in this case, the left to this T is G. So G starts this way. Then left to G is N, left to N is I. So in this case, the normal positive stride scans the elements from, picks the element to the right, and in case of negative stride, it picks the element to the left. So that was all about your indexing and slicing. Now let's move on to finding different parts of string or different apart from this many things. Actually this is similar to the list part, and there are few functions which enables you to get the index or some information about the string. Now let me do something. Let me try to find out the index of a particular element. So in order to do that, I will be using the variable name dot index function. And now let me try to find out, this is a string, so let me try to find out the index of a. So this is going to return an integer which is the index number of this particular value a, and in this case a positive, it always follows the positive indexing format, so it scans the element from left to right. So in case you have, say for example in here, s is repeated a number of times. So let me try to find out what this index is going to return. If you are trying to find out the index number of s, and it shows that s is at position 3. So it just ignores the next s. So whenever it encounters the particular character s, when it's scanning from left to right, it will return that index. So now there is another way of finding an index, and that is using a find function. Like for example, if I use the same, so let me try to find out the value of s using find, and that is going to return 3. Now then, what is the difference between an index function and a find function? So both actually working in the same manner. Now the difference is, now let me try to find out the index of a character which is not present in the string. Say for example z. Let me try to find out. Let me use the find function first. I'm trying to find the position of this character z, and it shows -1. So this -1 indicates that this particular character z is not present in our string. So this -1, do not confuse that this is showing you the negative indexing format of Python. -1 in case of find function always means that this particular character is not present in your string. Now let me use this function index to find the position of z. Now this is going to throw a nasty error. It is going to throw that this substring not found error. So it is always preferred to use this find function instead of index, because if that particular character is not present, it is going to throw an error, and you will have to use a try block if you are using this index function. So keep that in mind. Another thing is, find also provides a function rfind dot rfind, and now if I try to find the index of s, it's going to give me 10. So this was your string. So now the 10th index is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is your 10th index, and that is returned using rfind. So rfind actually scans the characters from right to left, and the first index it encounters that contains s will be returned. Now in case when in this case like s occurs more than one times, so now if you're trying to find out the number of occurrence of a particular character, that can be done using string dot count function, and inside count you will put this as input, the character whose occurrence you would like to find. So there are 3 s in your particular string that we are using, and that is returned using this count variable. And apart from that, you also have things like there is some boolean function, like starts with and end with. So for example, string dot starts with, and say if you are saying that does it start with A, it will show that false. And then you have string dot ends with, and now if I say if it ends with G, it will say true. Now with that, let me check if string variable in function is, or if Python is character sensitive. So let me just change this G to this G, and now it says that this is false. So of course Python is a case sensitive language. Now there is one more thing, that is, say if I try to, sorry, yeah, if I try to say replace this S with something else, string dot replace, so the S with say E, now your string looks like this. So the generic syntax of this is string var dot replace. So this is the, here goes the old character, here goes the new character, and that this old character is replaced by the new character. But now if I try to find out the value of string, it shows that no, actually this has been replaced in place, but actually the original string has not been modified. So let me check that if the string can be modified. So if I go the traditional way like I did it with the list, if I try to, this S is at position number 3. Now if I try to change this S to E, I will have to in order to replace, I will have to access that element, and I will need to enter the new value for S. Now this throws an error because string is actually non-manipulable. In case of list, list could be manipulated, list could be changed, but this string cannot be changed. But now the interesting part is, if I change the string, now if I try to change the entire string, this is, sorry, this is a changed string. Now this is also supposed to throw an error because I'm trying to change the entire string, but it does not throw an error. So this is something strange, right? I could change a character and now here I change the entire string. So what is actually happening here? Actually, the chunk of memory that this string was actually pointing to, this is actually pointing to a different chunk of memory. And what is happening here is Python, it supports reusing the name of its variable. So literally, this string and this string are not the same thing. This is another variable, or another a variable that is named as string, and this is pointing to some other part of the memory, which now contains this is a changed string value. So this is an interesting part about string. And apart from that, string also supports using of some mathematical operator like equal to, plus, equal to, greater than equals to, and so on. So what are these? Let me show you. So first of all, if I have string 2 which says say a new string, or sorry, a string 2, which I'm trying to assign a variable name, which I'm trying to assign a value. And if I say string 2 equals to string, now if I try to find out the value of string 2 will contain the same value as this variable string. Now if I check there, now this equals to is a boolean function which will check that if two strings are equal. So in this case, string 2 equals to string is going to give me true. And now what about this greater than, equals to, less than equals to? Let me show you. String say 3 is equals to AAA, and we have a string 4 which is equals to ABB. Now this greater than is true if, say, if I write something like string 3 greater than string 4. String 3 greater than string 4. Now this is going to give me a value true if alphabetically string 3 is after string 4. So in this case, this will give me a value false, because if I put it in a dictionary, AAA will come before ABB. And similarly, greater than equals to is if the position of this, say if I say if string 4 is now greater than equals to string 3, this is going to give me true, because alphabetically ABB is going to occur after this value AAA. So this is actually alphabetic position. Depending upon the alphabetic position, this greater than, less than will give you true or false values. And also you can find out if a particular substring is present in a string. For example, if I say another string, say str1, which is say changed. Now if I try to say that str1, if str1 in string print yes, and it says yes because changed is a part of this string. This is a changed string. So, and also if str, say if we consider another str, say 2, which is hello, and now if I say if str2 not in string print done, and this says that okay, str2 is not in this particular string. So hello is not present in your variable string. This does not contain any substring is hello, and this is obviously this if value is going to evaluate to be true. Now apart from that, it also like say if you're trying to compare a string and you don't know what are the cases are. Say we have a string 1 which says hello, and we have a string 2 which says say hello. Now technically both these strings, according to the English meaning, they are the same thing, but according to Python they are not the same thing. So naturally, in case of your C or Java, what we used to do was we had to change the case of this string. We bring both the strings to the same case and then we compare. So here also the case can be changed. So according to your traditional way, dot upper, and now we will compare if this string 2 dot upper, and this is going to give you true. But there is also another way which Python supports, is case fold. So I just case fold this string 1 dot case fold, and I compare that to string 2 dot case fold, and now also this is going to give you true. So string 1 dot upper, so definitely we have something like string 1 dot lower, and that gives you hello. This h has been like it has been changed to the lowercase, and string also supports another case apart from uppercase and lowercase, that is a title case, which is like if you change the value of this string to say the case of the string 2 to title, it will look like this. So in case of this title case, the first character of your string will be elevated to the uppercase. So these are the things which you had to know. And what happens actually, since Python does not say, now if I say that if string 1 is equals to string 2, this will show as false, because if you compare the ASCII value of the uppercase and lowercase, these are not the same. So the ASCII value of the first character of the string, if you have to find out the ASCII value of that number, you will have to use this function ORD. ORD string 1 0 is 72, whereas order or ORD of string 2 0, that is the lower h, is 104. Similarly, if you like to change, if you have the ASCII value of a number and if you want to change that to the string value, corresponding string value, you will be using the function character, which is CHR. Now if I say CHR 104, it's going to give me the lower h. And now it also provides you with some Boolean kind of function to actually check the case. Say for example, if I say string 2 dot is lower, this is going to give me true, whereas a string 1 dot upper, this is going to give me string 1 dot is upper, it's going to give me false, because all the cases are not in uppercase. But if I say string 1 actually is the title case, right? So of course there is a function called isTitle, and now if I try to find out string 1 isTitle, it's going to give me true. So these are the few things which are present in your case statements. And now Python also lets you know what is the kind of the value that your string contains. Like for example, if you have a string str6 equals to say 123. Now if you try to find out that if this string contains all numbers, then you can use two functions, that is str6 dot is decimal, that is going to give you true. And say there is also another function which is is digit, str6 dot is digit, which also works in the same manner. This also is going to give you true. Now if I have another string, say str5, which is a string. Now in order to check that if your str5 contains all characters, the way to check that is alpha function. And oops, what happened here? Okay, so actually if you have something like a space, this is going to give you false. Now if I change this str5 into a string, now this time it gives you true. So actually what happens, even if your string has space in this as one of the like apart from alphabets, if it contains strings, if it contains white space, this is also not considered as a string that would qualify as is alpha. So technically each character in your string has to be an alphabet. Similarly, if I do something like num, and if I 123.8, and now if I try to find out if this like num is it does contain all the numbers. Oh, sorry. It's going to give me false. So even if it contains a decimal point, it cannot recognize this as a number, or this is not recognized as a number. And in order to find out if your number is a float kind of number, so is it something like, do we have something like a float? Let me just check. Dot is float, and now this says that it has no attribute known as is float. So now let me try to define a function that will check if a number is a floating point number. So from whatever we have learned so far, and also we will be learning a few more things when we are trying to define the number is. So let me try to define a function, say is float. Now this will take as input a number or a string, say string. Now what we are trying to check is if yours is a float kind of a number, then it will either contain a number, or it has and it will also contain one dot or a decimal point. So the string will be a substring of all the numbers or a dot. So for that we will first need to extract each character from the string. So before doing that, let me declare two variables. Like there is a count variable which I initialize to 0, and there is a dot variable which I initialize to 0 again. Now first we will need to check character by character. So in order to do that, we will be needing a for loop, And as in your traditional indexing, you would have say for I in range len string, and then we would have, in order to find the character, say we would have to access each character using this I. But Python provides you a simpler way to do that, and that is done using, for say now in this case, for character in string. So actually it works the same way, but you don't have to explicitly declare the len function. Instead, character, instead of what I did before was I would have to mention the name of your string variable, and within the square brackets you will have to enter the index, and that is given as I when you are trying to traverse one index to the other. In this case, your character is going to be the value at that index position I. So your string I is actually replaced by character. So character now, when it starts, when the iteration starts, so this character is going to be the first character in the string, say a 0 or 1 or something. Now this has to be a substring of this string 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or a dot. It has to be something among these. So you will have to check. So here comes an if loop. If character in this, then you will have to increase the count of your increase this count by 1. So count equals to count plus 1, which is replaced in Python as count plus equals to 1. And if your character in, or your character equals to dot, you will increase the value of this value dot. So dot gets increased by 1. And now you are done with the string. Now you are done with the for loop, and now you have to check if count equals to length of this string. And now in a number, in a floating number, there can be only one dot or a decimal point, right? So, and dot equals to 1, print true, else print false. Or you could also return true, return false, something like this. So now let me check, is float say 123.5, that showed me that this is true. Now if I try to find out is float 12.5.67, now this is going to return that this is false. So this is not a float kind of a number. And this also, okay, now string also supports, like if I say str1 plus str2, this is going to be changed hello. So str1 was changed, str2 was hello. And in order to make it look a little better, I will provide a white space, and now if I do, okay, sorry, this was supposed to be str1. I'm sorry, by mistake I did that. Changed hello. So actually these if this is a number, if this is a alphabet, this is actually very much needed when you're trying to take the user input. For example, if you're trying to take a input like if say you just want the user to enter a name, so in that case, like say for example, if you want to say that input enter your name, and then you check if var dot is alpha print welcome plus plus var, let me give a space over here, else print not a name. So now enter your name, say I enter my own name, and sorry, what happened here? Okay, now if I run it one more time, and now this time I do something like 1 2 hello, and it will say that it is not a name. So actually this is for this purpose you will be needing a lot of this is alpha or is digit or is decimal kind of functions. Now for this plus operator, now say you have a lot of strings that you need to join, and for that reason the best thing is to actually take those strings in a list and then you use the join operator. Like for example, if you have a number of strings, say we are trying to concatenate string 1 string 2, we have a string 3 I think, or if I don't I will be okay, so there is no string 3. So I declare a string 3 now. And now so we have string 1, string 2, str1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So let me take that in a list. So a list, and in order to put these strings in a list is using the list function. So you just write the list function, and now str1, str2, str3, str6. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Sorry, I just forgot the square bracket over here. So now a list contains these 4 strings. Now there is another way of joining the string, and that is using a join operator. And the syntax of this join operator is, so this would be the separator dot join, and then you will have to enter the list. So let me try to join the string, say my string equals to, so we want a space to be a separator. So this is your separator as a space dot join. In this case it was a list, and now your my string looks like this. Changed hello under 123. Now if just I'll show you what is the best part of doing this is, first of all, it saves you a number of lines of code. Say for example, if you had to do the same thing using this concatenation or the plus function, um, so first of all you would have to declare an empty string as mystr. Say now for say we are considering this list. So for uh, string in a list, my str, so you concatenate equals to, you need to put a string plus this, and now your mystr looks like this. But have you found something? There is an extra space which was not present in this myString variable. So in that case, if you have to format that, you will have to use the strip function which is provided, and it strips the trailing white space character at the right hand side. Now, if you had a trailing white space at your right hand, at your left hand side, say you have mystr2, which is say a space, you would have to use like mystr dot lstrip, mystr2 dot lstrip, and the space is removed. Then you have some justification operators like rjust, rjustify or left justify, and the syntax is your string variable dot like rjust or ljust, and there you have the string name and the fill character. So that's your string variable, that's your the width of the character and your fill character. Say you have a string number, say 12. Now num dot ljustify, so I'll move on to the left. So let me say the width is 12 and the fill character is say percentage, and now the rest 10 characters will be filled with percentage. And similarly, if I do the rjustification, so this is pushed away at this position. And if I just write it something like this, if I say 0, this would look like 0. And we also have something similar to this known as zfill. So in case of zfill, it fills, the fill character is 0. All you need to do is you will have to mention the width, and now it looks like this. Then what's the difference between rjust and zfill? Now say your number, I just changed this number to -12 now. Now your rjust would shift this -12 at this position, and all the rest will be, the rest 9 positions will be filled with 0. And if I do the same thing with zfill, it keeps the minus at this position and it just shifts 1 2 over here. So this is very interesting part. And another thing which I would like to mention about int, say we have a string like str2 as say 111. If I do something like int str2 and now I mention the thing like 2, it will give me 7. So now this is known as a radix. Now this radix, if I change that to 8, it will give me the hexadecimal equivalent of 111 and so on. So there's an interesting part about the int function. And then if we try to so that's all about actually string. So that was all about it. This is your cheat sheet. Everything that I have told you is given over here, and you can take a screenshot of this. So that's all for today, and I'll be back with another video. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Goodbye.